What was the key point to you wanting to be financially literate?
Well, the first thing is I was tired of being broke.
That'll do it.
You know,
broke will do it.
That'll do it. You know, they said rock bottom teaches you something that nothing else could teach you.
Absolutely.
And so I can remember just growing up in Milwaukee, you know, wanting to be like the D-boys, the pimps. You know, Milwaukee, the Midwest got the pimps, had it on lock. And so, but we never really had people that we could look up to that was on anything from the music scene to the sports and different things like that. But as I got older, of course, I was told, go to school, get good grades, get good job.
Right.
I found out very quickly that shit don't work. It don't work.
That A and that B didn't do it for you.
The White House with the picket fence, that stuff didn't work for me.
Okay.
And so I can remember being in college in my first semester, I was in my economics class, and the teacher was talking about money and how he was bad with money. And so I remember raising my hand. I was like, so you can't teach us how to get rich? He said, no. So I dropped out of school right there and there. Never went back. And so from that standpoint, got into the workforce. I was working at a warehouse company. I was still in Milwaukee, was there 8 years. I thought I was going to retire from that company. I'm literally marking the years off the calendar because at 30 years, you get a gold watch. I get a pension.
And a pen.
Man.
For 30 years.
The lapel pen.
The lapel. That's it, for 30.
Yeah. So I was excited about that. And so about 8 years into being there, they shut the company down. So I'm like, damn, what am I going to do? And so I was fortunate enough and I bumped into entrepreneurship. This was back when nobody could even spell the word.
Right.
They still can't spell entrepreneurship. And so
that is hilarious.
And so I got into learning about entrepreneurship. I got into network marketing. Didn't make any money, but what it taught me, Bill, it taught me personal development.
Perfect.
And so I started to really learn about changing my mindset, started listening to people like Les Brown, Tony Robbins, John Maxwell, and I started to find out that the paradox of why people were successful was because how they started to think. And so this was in 2003 when that company shut down. So fast forward to 2005, my mentor at the time was like, hey, Will, we're building a team in Las Vegas. Would you want to move out there? And I'm in Milwaukee. I had to move back in with my parents. I'm in the basement, name on an orange carton.
Right.
And I'm like, hell yeah, I want to go to Vegas.
I want to go to Vegas.
And so I didn't have any money. He actually loaned me $500.
Okay.
So I had $500 to my name. I had a garbage bag full of clothes because I couldn't afford a suitcase. And so I caught a one-way ticket to Las Vegas, moved out there, and been out there ever since. And so when I got to Vegas, I found out that business and entrepreneurship wasn't easy. Right. So found myself homeless and sleeping in cars and couch surfing. But something has stuck out to me, Bill, when I was out there. I remember before I moved to Las Vegas, I had heard a quote that eventually credit will become the new dollar. And that just stuck out to me.
That's hard.
And so what happened was I was going to try to buy a car when I was in Las Vegas, and I kept having to get a cosigner. And so I'm 26 years old. I'm out here trying to date. And I'm like, damn, I can't even buy a car.
Dang.
And so I wasn't about to call my parents or nobody asked for a cosigner.
Right.
And so I remember the guy at the car dealership had let me see the credit report. And so I'm on there and I saw I had repossessions. I'm like, anything bad and negative, I had it on my credit report. You remember Gateway Computers?
Yes, sir.
That was on my credit.
You didn't take it back.
I didn't take it back. And so from that standpoint, I just started to learn about the power of credit and started to fix my credit. And then I remember I was able to get a vehicle that I didn't have to put any money down. Blew my mind. Because, you know, growing up, how we grew up, we assume you always got to put money down on a vehicle.
Absolutely.
But it wasn't that you had to put money down. It was that because your credit was so bad, the bank wouldn't finance the total amount. So that's the money that the dealership actually got to keep. And so once I saw I got to buy a vehicle without having to put money down, 2013, I bought a house. Bought my first house. Coming from Milwaukee, I never even fathomed being a homeowner. And so then I was like, damn, it got to be something to this credit thing.
So I started, everything.
It really is. So I started researching. I came upon an author by the name of Robert Kiyosaki that started talking about opium and other people's money. And then that's when it really just blew my mind. It changed my entire mindset and concept of not only how money works, how credit works, how finances, economics, all of that, man. So that's kind of the short version of how I got into this space.
Well, for all the listeners that are definitely listening, people that are watching this on YouTube, you know, we sleep on credit. You know, culturally, I'm kind of like summarizing it, but culturally, I feel like, you know, if the bar is 750, most black people around 450,
It
you
ain't
know,
that bad.
500, you know, where you get a 602, you know what I'm saying?
It's actually about a 621.
Like a 621
621,
solid. Like, so when you're going to, you know, invest in real estate or something like that, and you don't have a lot of money to put down, and you either going to have one or two things. You're either going to have great credit, or you might be able to do with good credit first-time buyer situation where you don't have to put that much money down, but because your credit's a certain way, you can finagle that, right? Most people don't know that.
Right.
And so when you started thinking about real estate and this is your first home, what was the process for you? Said, okay, well, I'm getting on my feet. I know I need to own something.
Right.
You know, it can't just be a car.
Right.
What was the process of you getting that house?
Well, I'm glad you actually said that, because one of the things I always say is that we got to focus on ownership. We have to own shit.
Yeah, we
And
do.
That's how I tell people. I'm like, because we don't own anything. Like, even when you think about somebody who goes into business or being an entrepreneur, you really buy a job unless you own it.
Whoa.
And so these are the things and concepts that I'm trying to teach people. And so when it comes to being a homeowner, there's two different sides, because I'm also a real estate investor. Mm-hmm. But on the homeowner side, believe it or not, Bill, you can actually buy a house with a 580 credit score. Now, your interest rate will be a little bit higher. But here's the thing that people don't realize is that there's so many different programs out there that not only they'll subsidize your down payment. It's just that we don't know, because we assume, oh, okay, I got bad credit. I know nothing about financing. So a lot of the times, especially in the black community, we just automatically assume we don't qualify. It's actually easier to get qualified for a home than a credit card.
Well, what kind of programs do they have? Because I'm sure there's people right now that are listening going, oh my God, what program? Give me one that maybe help me get my first home.
Definitely.
What would be like a really good program?
So there's a program out there called NACA, NACA.com, where with their program, they actually subsidize where you don't have to put money down for the property. Now, there's some income qualifications, and it's not necessarily credit score driven. What they do is they look at your credit behavior, and so you don't necessarily have to have a 700. They just want to make sure that you're paying your bills on time. Right. They also look at your rental history, because another thing that I often tell a lot of our individuals, especially that come from our community, start tracking your rental payments. It's cool that you want to live with your baby mama and all of that stuff, but at least show documentation of that. You know, go get a bank account, and I even show people how to get second chance bank accounts. So this way you can start documenting your payment history.